traditionally dance outside in the sun, but I'm very happy to do this. Hi, sweetie. Celeste and I have been talking about this for a long time, but because of all that's gone on in our world, we didn't know it was going to happen. But here's the testimony. I made these plans with the Lord. I'm not going to talk any louder than this. I made these plans with the Lord several months ago. And in all that's gone on, I did not feel the Lord telling me to cancel. And I blew a lot of people's minds.
Hi.
And I actually had to shut down some conversations at some concerts afterwards. And I did not use the word that everyone is using. I will not use it here. We don't need to do that.
That's right.
Because we are overcomers.
That's right.
And I had a friend last night who's really, she's lost a lot of people due to whatever it might be, yes, no, and I felt very bad for her. And she was concerned that I might catch something. And I said, no, I won't. No, I don't, and no, I won't. I said, because God covers me. And she said, wow, what faith you have. And I know that faith is a gift from God. I don't take credit for the faith and the grace that God gave me. And there's nothing short, it's nothing short of the grace of God that I came. It's a short trip for me. It's 3 weeks, and I've been up in the air more than I've been on the ground. So my first concert was in Spooner, Wisconsin, in a racquetball court, because it's better than concrete. It was wonderful. We did it last year as well. It was so wonderful. And if I might give this testimony, my friend hosted it, Art Cry Incorporated, and she had a little gathering outside down the hall. And I would come in and out and say hello to people and continue to set up. And this one woman, and a much older woman than myself, she didn't have a mask on, which made me feel like, okay, maybe I can approach. And I said, how are you? And I said, would you like a hug? And she said, yes! I haven't been hugged in 3 months. And I said, come here, And we had men and women that evening. And the key that God has put in my hand is to bring out the child. Because the child gets the breakthrough. Because a little child will have fun, they will entertain themselves, and they don't care what you think. But we get older, and somehow we've heard a subconscious message. We don't know that we have, but it goes something like this. Sit down, shut up, you have nothing of value to say. And people are afraid of their own voices. And I've seen trauma come out, I've experienced it because I see the transformation of the person when they're willing to embrace that praise voice. Because you see, in the Bible it says, sing to the Lord, shout to the Lord, dance to the Lord, blow the shofar, play the trumpet, the cymbals, the harp, the lute, the lyre, all the instruments to the Lord, including the body. In 2011, very quickly, the Lord said to me, it's through the new song and the new dance that I'm healing my people. It's not enough to sing and it's not enough to dance. The song, the new song from heaven that's never been sung before, and the praise, and I tell men, dance is praise that moves. It's simply praise that's moving. If you have a hard time. I work with men into 85 years old. And the reason it works and the reason why they respond is because it's my call. And that's how you know you're moving in your call, when things are progressing along. The Lord told me to do this with married couples and they would receive healing and restoration. So they're doing something over each other called prayer dances, which is singing a new song and doing a new dance. And I had 2 couples come in from America when I was in Jerusalem. We call it America there. We don't say the States necessarily. And the man who looked the oldest said, yeah, we'll do it. And 99% of the people that come into the prayer houses where I teach will say, yeah, we'll do it. And it's amazing. And they're amazed. Because these are guys who said, I will never do this. And I want to encourage you to visit my YouTube channel, Liora Ziet, okay? My names are on the DVDs. And there's a specific program on there called Men Do Dance for God. And you will hear 18 to 85-year-old men saying that I've never felt so intimately close to God than through my newfound dance worship. Men have also said, I feel like God's using you, Liora, to bring me closer to my destiny. And that's what God told me. Because I'm about destiny, but more importantly, He's about destiny. And we know Yeshua is our ultimate destiny, but here on earth we are responsible to steward this life. And that's a full-time job. It's a full-time job. So if we keep our eyes on the call that God has given us, we won't have time to judge other people. We just won't have time. And, I really want to say this, like, I thank the Lord for Satan in a way, and I'll tell you what I mean. Sin that's in this body, that will be here to the day I go up with the Lord. The sinful body is not being transformed into anything until I go up to heaven. So the spirit, I choose Yeshua every day, and I choose the spirit over the body. So I make my flesh submissive to the spirit, right? So the sin, Satan and sin go like this. It's a magnet, right? So I love that God tries to help us. And he says, don't worry, don't fret, don't be in angst, don't be in anxiety, don't be bitter, don't have a bitter root, don't be resentful, don't let the sun go down on your anger, be angry but do not sin. God is helping us to repent of these things, to clean up our act day by day. It's a sanctification process so that the enemy can't get in and torment us. And we were talking the other night, there is necessary suffering, which is the way of the cross. We're all going through it. We're all going through it. We all have a different cross, but we're all going through it. And that cross, you know how Yeshua, if you saw the Passion, most of us did, he hugged his cross like he was loving it, like it looked like he was holding it. That's what we need to do. We need to embrace our cross, because it's that cross that God placed in our lives that's going to bring us higher with him. There is no way around it. I'm really dealing with that in my life, and I know you guys are too. There's no way around the cross. And I also feel like the more in love I am with Yeshua, which means salvation now, Jesus' salvation, the more in love I am with him and the closer I cling to him, the more the fire seems to be getting turned up in my life. And here we can narrow it down to one fundamental sentence in the Bible. When you are persecuted, consider yourself blessed, for the Spirit of the living God rests upon you. So it's like, because he loves us so much, we get to go to that special place with him. And it hurts. And it's bittersweet. It's sweet in that it's like he's called us. He's called us. We're not haphazardly in that very difficult place, right? Because nothing happens to us that God doesn't allow. He doesn't bring it on necessarily. I'm not God. I can't answer all those questions. But he allows it. And sometimes I think he allows sickness to get our attention. Let's say that I am full of trauma. Let's say I'm full of trauma from my childhood, okay? And I haven't dealt with it, which is not true, but let's say I haven't, okay? Well, my body's gonna start breaking down because God can't seem to get my attention. So he wants to get my attention so that I can get with him and he can clean me up. He doesn't want to keep any of us there. He wants us to hold on to him, and we're gonna come out smelling beautifully, smelling of the Lord God himself. That beautiful aroma in Yeshua's name. So I live in Jerusalem. I moved there 11 years ago. I have an amazing life in God. I also have a hard life in God, but that's not a complaint. It's just the truth. Let's tell the truth. Let's tell the truth so that we can hold each other up. Truth is real. I want to give this example. A friend of mine called me yesterday. I haven't talked to her in a year, but we go so far back that we don't miss a beat. It doesn't matter how many years we haven't spoken because we're that close. So she called me and I said, oh, and I just got some very difficult news. And I said, oh, I don't want to talk to you while I'm in this way. She said, why not? She said, this is real. This is what's happening. This is real. This is what's happening. Go for it. And it diffused my stress, because I think people in the body of Messiah around the world, they grow up in certain cultures of Christianity, and they feel like they have to put on a happy face before they call you, before they come visit you. Really? That's about as deep as our relationship's gonna go. Yes, Yeshua's at the center, but guess what? This heart in me, this one-of-a-kind heart that only I have. Sue doesn't have my heart, she has her heart. Celeste has her heart, okay? So, partnering with God, he desires, severely desires, for me to bring this heart into this world. Now we know, especially the woman, the nurturer, we know the enemy would like to crush our heart, so we close the door and we don't let anybody ever love us again. That is a fact, but God. So we need to step into the finished work of the cross. He did it all. He said, it is finished. We need to walk in that. I blow my shofar. That is a mighty weapon of warfare. It's a call to worship, but it's a lot of other things. They say that when the Mashiach is coming, his voice is going to sound something like a shofar. And they also say that the enemy shakes in his boots because he hears the shofar. He goes, oh my God, Yeshua might be coming, you know. You know, the enemy doesn't get to sing the new song with us. Right. He's so predictable. It's like, oh, there he is again. Shut up. You know, he doesn't do anything original. He's not original. And he's very jealous. But more importantly than that, God is jealous over us. He is jealous over us. He wants all of us. And you know, in my ministry, so it's prophetic dance. I also do the circle dances. I'm also a dance educator by trade. So I have so much to pour out into people in many different ways through releasing the river of God. So the reason why I'm here is because, well, God, obviously, but the specific call on the prophetic ministry presentation, Lord said to me, when you enter into the dance, to put all self-consciousness aside, enter in and release his healing rivers. And God says, and the invitation is to whosoever will, enter in and receive body, mind, soul, and spirit, everything that you need. Because the only place you're going to get your needs met is in the river of God, which is in Yeshua himself. Everything else is a plus. And of course, I always say, Lord, I receive your message, and I'm tossing, turning. What do you want me to speak about? But I dance first, because when I dance, the Lord stirs up what he wants me to say, and he goes, that. Because there's a lot of things we can say, but we don't have all day. So I just want to say what is relevant for us now, what we all, including myself, need to hear. You know, I don't just ask for the Lord to fill you, I ask him to fill me. Because when I worship, I'm transcended to heavenly places, right? Our greatest weapon of warfare is praise. We know that. We have the answer to eternal life. There are so many scared, frightened, petrified, terrified people all around us. But we have the answer. So we need to get it right. If there's anybody here today that has not given their heart to Yeshua the Messiah, Jesus the Christ, today is your day. I've flown all the way from Israel in the midst of all this mishigas, this craziness, because God has something for you today. We're in a war. We're in a battle. Paul Wilbur, if you know his music, I've danced with him. He said to me when I told him I'm dancing in the marketplace in Jerusalem, where there's so many spirits there, so many esoteric spirits. I said, it's really a challenge. And he put on a Jewish accent and he said, so what do you think? The enemy's going to hand you your destiny? The enemy's going to roll out the red carpet for you? You know, we have to fight for our destiny. Guys, if you're a believer in Yeshua the Messiah, you're in the army of the Lord. And the Lord does not want us to be complacent. Because if you're complacent, you know, a matter of time, your heart's just going to get hard. It's not going to be soft and tender. I was talking to my good friend, the one I referred to before. And what is so amazing, living in this world, if you can keep your heart soft and tender before the Lord in the midst of all the persecutions and suffering, that means that you're going deeper with Yeshua. And that means that you continue to choose Yeshua over and over and over again. And he is the only way. He's the way, the truth, and the life. So if you don't know Yeshua in a relationship, I don't mean religion. Religion can be a stumbling block. Judaism was a stumbling block. It doesn't mean I'm not Jewish. I am more Jew now than I ever was. I'm a completed Jew. I received my prophesied Jewish Messiah of the Hebrew Scriptures, the Tanakh. Okay, so I went to Hebrew school and I was bat mitzvah, and I'm really grateful for that. I really am. But God was drawing me for 6 years. I was having encounters with the Holy Spirit, and I acknowledged it, but then I went into my head and I said, no, Jews don't believe in Jesus, and I went about my way. 6 years later, he was wooing me, and then I had to know. Now, I wasn't looking for him. 6 years later, I'm like, I have to know, because you won't leave me alone. So I opened the Gospel of John. In Hebrew, it's Yochanan. And I said, God, whoever you are, I am trusting you to show me the truth. And if it's true, if this book is tainted, you'll show me. And I'm putting aside my heart. I'm putting aside, not my heart, I'm putting aside what I was told to believe or not believe. And the love of God shot into me. The scales fell off. And I was like, Jesus, I'll do anything for you if you do this for me. And that's really what I said. And I hit the ground running. And most Jews that I know are natural evangelists. It's just part of who they are. It is. It's just part of who we are. And So I just want to say to you that the other point I really want to make, this breaks my heart. And sometimes God really gives me a fire about it. People who don't know the Lord, they think that they're free. They're not free. On the contrary. Because if you're not living for God, you're living for the enemy. Because God says you're either for me or against me. So if you're not living for God, I'm very easily distracted.
Yeah.
If you're not living for God, maybe you just pray for me. Yeah, I'm really easily distracted. I think I'm more easily distracted when I talk than when I dance. I want to keep the flow of what I'm saying. If you're not living for God, you're living for the things of this world. You're living for yourself. I was living for myself when I didn't know God. What other options do I have? And you see, I'm ensnared if I'm living for myself. Living for myself is a dead end. There's no light. There's no light. But real happiness comes from serving the Lord, right? We know that. Real happiness. Can we just say that together? Real happiness comes from serving the Lord. So people who don't know the Lord, they think that they're free, but they're not, because the enemy is leading them, because the enemy and self go together. The enemy wants you to live for yourself. The enemy wants you to be selfish. The enemy wants you to be isolated. The enemy wants you to be depressed. And more so, the enemy wants to crush you. There's nothing nice about him. We need to talk about that because we need to understand that we're in a war. Things are getting turned up, and we need to be equipped. We need to be dressed and ready. And we need to not stop meeting together. You know, there was a church I was supposed to go to, and the church is closed. And I said, could we meet outside somewhere? Because I want to encourage that congregation. I've been with them, I've spent time with them, and my main gift is encouragement. And the enemy would love for us to be isolated. It's important to be alone with God. We need that. But I feel like isolation is a slow suicide. You know, and it's comfortable. It's comfortable, but that's in our flesh. And you know what? The only safe place is hidden in the bosom of God. It's the only safe place. I'm going to dance a little bit more, and I'm going to invite you in a bit to come and join me. You know, being in the river of God and witnessing the dance worship can set you free. And also joining in and partaking of the dance can set you free as well. Or just hearing the truth. So when I first got saved, someone said to me from Jamaica, Liora, your ministry is encouragement. And I said, no, it's dance. And I realized it is dance and encouragement. I'm like a dancing evangelist. And I never realized that till last summer. I just heard the word dancing evangelist and I laughed. I said, that's true. So anyway, I really love the Lord. And guys, you know, after I leave today, because I'm getting on a plane after this, you guys are going to fellowship and eat. And I know it's your breakout session today. I'm honored to be here to kick it off, no pun intended. So I really want to encourage you to talk to each other. Be real with each other. In the Lord, you know, and there are people that will want to suck you dry, okay? And the only thing, I've said this before in this meeting at Celeste, the only thing I have to give you is Yeshua. Now, he's everything. And what else? Yeshua. And what else? Yeshua. Because I don't want anybody to become codependent on me. No. Because they'll suck the life out of me. I'm not anybody's God, but I can point you to who is, right? And what was it that Peter said, silver and gold I have not, but Yeshua the Messiah I can give to you. Yeah, God is so good. Can I bother you, Sue, to help me with the plug-in again?